December 1916. A train loaded with a nation's gold rolls east toward Moscow. Alongside its 1,738 crates of coins and ingots ride two small crates, the jewels of a queen, entrusted to an ally for safekeeping. The gold never came home. Neither did the jewels. Welcome to the Black File.
Marie of Romania was born into two empires at once. Her grandmother was Queen Victoria of Britain. Her mother's father was Tsar Alexander II of Russia. Born a British princess, she married Ferdinand, heir to the Romanian throne, and set out to make a foreign country her own, its language and its villages first, then its army and its grief. By the time the First World War reached Romania, Romanians no longer saw a foreigner in her. They saw their queen, a queen with jewels worth a fortune and a grandfather's empire next door. She would one day stand for Romania itself at the Paris Peace Conference.
And she would be asked so quietly to give so much away.
In August 1916, Romania entered the First World War on the Allied side, hoping to unite with Transylvania. The campaign collapsed within months. On 6 December 1916, Bucharest fell to the Central Powers. King Ferdinand, the government, parliament, and the National Bank retreated to Iași, the temporary wartime capital, with 2/3 of the country under occupation. Marie went with them and went to work. She put on a nurse's uniform and walked the hospital wards, among the wounded and the dying. She rallied soldiers and refused despair.
Her people gave her two names that outlived the war: Mother of the Nation and Mama Ranitilor, the mother of the wounded. Everything she had earned, and everything the nation still owned, was about to be loaded onto a train.
In Iași, one fear pressed on every decision. The national gold reserve could fall into enemy hands. The front held only with Russian help, and the answer seemed obvious: send the gold to the ally next door. Russia's envoy confirmed that the imperial government guaranteed the treasure's integrity in transit and in Moscow. On 12 December 1916, the Council of Ministers approved the transfer. One word recurs in every document from those days: safekeeping. It was not recklessness. By the logic of that winter, it was the cautious choice, the responsible one. And the Queen added something of her own to the cargo.
That very day, the first train left Iași for Moscow. 17 wagons, 1,738 crates, over 314 million gold lay, the metallic reserve of the National Bank of Romania. And with them, two more crates that belonged not to the state, but to the Queen, Marie's jewels, valued at 7 million gold lay. She entrusted them to the empire her own grandfather had once ruled. On 21 December, the train reached Moscow, and the crates were sealed into the Kremlin. Joint Romanian and Russian delegates inventoried the boxes, crate by crate, signature by signature. The protocols guaranteed one thing: the treasure's integrity. Safekeeping meant it would come back.
It was not the last train. On 27 July 1917, a second, much larger convoy left for Moscow. Between 24 and 27 wagons, sources disagree to this day, arriving on 3 August. It carried more assets of the National Bank, the deposits of ordinary Romanians, the archives of the Romanian Academy, thousands of artworks, church treasures, the ancient gold of the Pietrasa hoard, and more of Queen Marie's valuables. Nearly everything precious the nation owned was now behind Russian walls. Romania had bet its entire patrimony on a single promise. That promise had less than 6 months to live.
In the autumn of 1917, the Bolshevik Revolution swept away the old order in Russia. The state that had promised safekeeping ceased to exist. Then, in early 1918, Romanian troops moved into Bessarabia, and Moscow answered. On January 26, 1918, Leon Trotsky, foreign commissar in Lenin's government, severed diplomatic relations with Romania. The decree declared the Romanian treasure inviolable for the Romanian oligarchy, to be held one day for the Romanian people. Behind the revolutionary language stood one plain fact. The vault had become a one-way door, and somewhere inside the Kremlin sat 2 crates of a queen's tools, now beyond reach. What happened to the jewels next has never been proven. No detailed inventory survives to tell us, piece by piece, what those 2 crates held. History recorded their value, not their shapes. Reports from the period suggest they were dismantled and quietly sold. Diplomatic accounts claimed that in 1920, Lev Kamenev sold part of Queen Marie's diamonds to private collectors in London. Further pieces were reportedly sold in Scandinavia in 1921. None of it was ever confirmed by a hard paper trail. At the Paris Peace Conference in 1919, Romania formally claimed the jewel's value, 7 million gold lei, alongside its gold. The claim went nowhere. The honest answer is the darkest one. Their exact fate is unknown. Unknown, but Romania never stopped asking. And what Moscow chose to send back decades later tells its own story.
Romania waited. In 1935, after diplomatic relations thawed under Foreign Minister Nicolae Titulescu, a train from Moscow arrived in Bucharest carrying 1,443 crates, archives, rare books, church relics, no gold, no jewels. In 1956, the Soviets returned 39,320 cultural objects, coins, paintings, canvases by Nicolae Grigorescu, even the golden Pietroasa treasure. It looked like generosity. Look closer. The reserve stayed in Russia, and on none of the lists, in none of the crates, in none of the returns, were the Queen's jewels.
In 2008, Russia handed back 12 historical gold coins, 77 grams, of roughly 93.4 tons of gold sent for safekeeping. That is all Romania has ever recovered. Gold worth several billion euros today, and the whole treasure, cultural value included, has been put, in a 2023 estimate, at up to 15 billion euros. In 1994, the Russian side suggested the gold no longer exists, a claim Romania rejects. A joint commission of historians has since met 5 times. On the gold, nothing. On the jewels, nothing. No line in any return protocol, no crate in any return shipment has ever accounted for them.
The dossier of the treasure is a state affair. The dossier of the jewels is a broken promise to one woman. The gold is a number, tons, crates, gold lei. The jewels are a face. Marie of Romania nursed the wounded, held a nation together through its darkest winter, and earned the name Mother of the Nation. The one thing she personally entrusted to an ally never came home, and most likely no longer exists in the form she knew. A nation's treasure crossed a border on a promise. That promise is still waiting, more than a century on. If stories like this one belong in your file, subscribe. The dossier stays open. Take care of yourselves.